What if you could turn your passion for helping others into a career that changes lives, starting with your own? Join Empower's Certified Professional Empower Coach Academy, accredited by the ICF and powered by Oregon State University. Our next cohort begins February 28th. Visit yesempower.com to reserve your spot today.
Welcome to Rewired. I'm your host, Tiffany Grimes with Empower Coaching and Training. Today on the Rewired podcast, I have the opportunity to speak with Mariah Wickham. I met Mariah in 2025 as a student in our Empower Coach Training Academy. She successfully graduated, which makes her a multi-certified life and empowerment coach. We are talking today about her love and expertise and her educator role in the Enneagram. I'm excited to share with you what I learned in this conversation. We started the conversation with, for me, a very simplistic view of the Enneagram, thinking we just had one number to understand ourselves better. But as Mariah explains to us, there are really many ways that we can use the Enneagram in many different layers. It was a really exciting conversation. A little bit more about Mariah. She helps people understand themselves better so they can lead others with more influence and compassion. She teaches lively workshops where she helps groups and teams build better connections. She holds a master's degree in adult learning and leadership, and she also resides in the state of Kansas with her husband of 23 years and her two sons, along with a great road trip. Mariah loves snacks and a good book and some humor. So please join me in welcoming Mariah to the Rewired podcast. All right, Mariah, thank you so much for joining Rewired podcast. It's so lovely to see you.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Yeah. Tell us, something fun, intriguing, something we should know about you, something that's kind of lighting you up right now. Tell us just a little bit about you.
It's funny because that question always makes me stall. Like I've never done a fun thing in my life and I'm the most boring person ever, which is not true.
I know that's not true.
What comes to mind is just a trip I have coming up. Wednesday, my husband and we live in Kansas and we're going to be driving down to Georgia and then up to North Carolina. And
wow.
So we're looking forward to it. We're meeting some friends, and then we're going to meet some family for Thanksgiving. But yeah, we love to do road trips. We've already done 8 states this year. So
this year.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So this will add several more. So anyway, that's something fun I'm looking forward to. But yeah, overall, just love to learn things, love to improve and make a mark on the world, I guess you could say.
Yeah, make a mark on the world. I love that. Yeah. Well, you make a lot of marks on the world, especially in the world of coaching leaders and organizational work. And, you and I had obviously a chance to get to know each other through the Empower Coach Training Academy. And I remember hearing about you that you were into Enneagram and that you helped facilitate that. And I'd always filed it away. I'll just be upfront. I'm not a fan of a lot of assessments, but the Enneagram is one that I love. And I have my first time taking it, maybe my only time taking it. It was kind of pre-cell phones, in our pockets. And it was on a road trip with a girlfriend. We'd gone to the coast and she had a book, like a proper book with paper pages. And we did, we had like a printout and we took the assessment by hand. And then we'd go, and so we used the road trip as a way to do it. And so I also just have this affinity for Enneagram because of the way that I got introduced to it. And I remember it being one that helped me learn about me, not just me within an organization or me within a team, but me, how I tick. And I really enjoyed that. So for those of you, and I would say that was probably 25 years ago. So to remind me, and for anybody new to the Enneagram, how do you describe what it is? And what makes it different from other personality assessments like Clifton Strengths or DISC or Myers-Briggs or any of those things? Tell us about the Enneagram.
Okay. Yes, I'm loving that you heard about this or took the test 25 years ago, because I feel like it's been the last 10 or 15 that has really gained a lot of traction. And so anyway, but it goes way, way back beyond that. It's like centuries old, in fact. But the Enneagram is a personality assessment tool. It helps you understand why you do what you do rather than just what you do. And that is the focus of many of the other personality typing tools. And the Strengths Finder is a wonderful one. I've taken that one, and actually several times I've taken that one. But you don't get tripped up by your strengths.
Right. It's a great way to say that.
Yeah, you get tripped up by your weaknesses and how you hold yourself back. And so other personality types put you in categories similar to the Myers-Briggs. They put you in categories based on what you do and not why you do what you do. So there are 9 Enneagram personality types, and you can have all 9 types or one of each type doing the same thing, but they're doing it for different reasons. And so that's what the Enneagram really wants to look at, and wants to help you understand about yourself. And when you start understanding those things about yourself, you can then make more conscious decisions. You can be more intentional, because we've all been trained and we all have personality habits that came from how we were raised and how, we grew up in our temperament. And unless you look at those real consciously, you tend to think that the whole world is like that.
Right.
Right. Or that you're the only one like that. That can happen as well.
Exactly.
And so so then it builds this compassion as you start to understand that, other people are just working from their personality habits as well.
Okay.
So that's what it is. It, like I said, it started a long, long time ago. And there are roots of it in ancient civilizations. But then in the 70s, it started gaining traction in religious circles. And it was kind of like a secret almost.
Like the secret power, the secret insight that I had.
Like it was kept in really tight circles, and they didn't want to share it beyond that. And it started getting shared beyond that. And some people were frustrated by that. But because of that, some people link it to religious, or Christianity, and it has no links to it at all. There's nothing about it that is religious or, set to a specific denomination or anything. But that is why, and I like to just explain that, because for some people they find that it's talked about in that way. So anyway, once it got beyond those secret circles, it started being talked about in more broader places, and then it was brought to organizations and different things. And then, like I said, in the last 10, 15 years or so, I'd say it's really taken off. It's been something that's really been shown, and a lot of people are talking about it on social media with all little sound bites and the little
This is kind of unique, this assessment, because it's the why versus the what that a lot of other assessments kind of point out. So to me, that makes me think about it focuses on core motivation rather than just the behavior. So why does understanding that why we do what we do, why does that matter? Why does that lead towards lasting change or insight? Why is that important for us to know? Why the why, Mariah? Why the why?
It's like the why. It is really important, because whatever your primary type is, you will be driven by that coordination no matter what you do. Mm-hmm. So whether it's in your career, or in your parenting or in your friendships, you're going to be looking for ways to be that way or express that because that's your core motivation. For instance, someone that's a type 1, they want to be good. They want to have integrity and be balanced. And so they are going through the world. They are showing up as an employee, as a volunteer, as a spouse, wherever. And that's what they're driven by. And so knowing this helps us see where we get stuck, because we might find that we're not very aligned anymore, or we might find that we're not making progress in life like we would like. And it might be because you've started to do things for the wrong reasons. It might be because you suddenly are getting pushed or pulled in a direction that doesn't line up with that core motivation. And so finding that out and then recognizing, oh, I need to pull myself back to this core motivation. But also your motivation itself can cause some stuckness. I'm a 4 myself. I'm a type 4, and their core motivation is to be significant or unique. And I tell you what, that's very frustrating. I feel like it's a punishment more than an ability sometimes, because I think, oh, I should do this in the world. And then I'm like, no, that's not unique enough. Right.
Yeah.
Or that, or, oh, everyone else has already done that. And so then it prevents me from taking action.
Yeah.
And that is going to be true of every type. They will get stuck by their core motivation, and they will find a lot of empowerment by their core motivation.
Okay. That's so fascinating. I don't remember what my number was. Now, of course, I'm going to go back and do it again, but I remember there being like a number, and then there were kind of these other little things that you're paying attention to. And so maybe we'll get to it, I'm sure. But well, I remember one of the things I loved about Enneagram is that it was just a number, as opposed to a bunch of letters that I had to remember about who I was, or all of these words that I had to remember. And now over all these years, I have forgotten that number, but I remember just loving that, like, oh, I'm a this, and so it would help other people have some insights. But it's interesting to know there's kind of some undercurrents to those two and what those are.
Yeah.
So at Empower, and of course in Rewired, we talk a lot about identity-based change, thinking about the rest of the sentence of I am, right? I am blank is going to help us understand how we think about ourselves, these identity-based thoughts. So I'm curious, how does the Enneagram help people understand the identity patterns or those inner narratives that shape our reactions and habits and emotional responses? And also it makes me think of how after you take the Enneagram, you own, like, I am a 4, I am a 3, and how that impacts or brings awareness to some of these same things, reactions, habits, emotional responses, and so forth. So talk to us a little bit, I guess, about identity-based awareness and how the Enneagram can help shed some light on that for us.
I will. And the first thing I want to share about that is that the Enneagram doesn't put you into a box. The Enneagram helps you see what's available outside of the box.
Oh, okay. That's a great paradigm shift. Yeah.
It's a very important distinction, because a lot of times, and it's interesting, you said when you started, I'm not really a big fan of personality typing tests. And I find that to be common with people, because I think they view personality tests as a way of putting people in boxes, right? And we don't want to do that. And so with the Enneagram, what we're doing is creating a lot of self-awareness around why you do things and why these personality habits were created. Not to say, well, that's just who I am, right? And that's like the world has to deal with it.
Right.
But to say, okay, this is who you've been because of certain things, but other things are available to you. And by living with more intention, by being more conscious, then, like, for instance, a type 7 who wants to feel satisfied and comfortable all the time, right? Your type 7s are like your life of the parties and live with a lot of spontaneity and impulsivity. A 7 then can go, oh, right? That's who I've been. But I wonder what would be possible if I tap into a little bit more of my 3, if I tap into a little bit more of my 1.
Okay.
We start to get this bigger picture and broader possibilities for everyone, because we're starting to understand what's available outside of the box. And in that process, I feel like we're creating a lot of compassion, because we start to understand other people better as well. And that's really, and this honestly, I mean, I've been studying the Enneagram for 6 years now. And this just came to me recently about why the Enneagram feels like such a passion for me, because when we can understand each other, we can be good to each other.
Yeah.
And that's one of my core values, is to help people be good to each other. And this is a tool to let that happen. This is a tool to facilitate that when we see what's available outside the box and work toward that, then we also give other people grace too, because it's not so easy. It's not so easy to break beyond the habits you've had since a very tiny child.
Yeah.
That's where these things started. And so anyone, as you know, I know you're very much in the space of self-improvement and self-help and self-empowerment. It's not so easy to change who you are. And we don't want to change who you are. We just want to help you. When you understand the Enneagram better, we want to help you express your essence on a more consistent basis.
Yeah. I really like that invitation, I guess, to think about this as it's a possibility opener. I think you named it. Yeah, I think for so many of these, I'm also a Gemini. And so I get really upset with these personality tests, because exactly what you just talked about. Like, I feel like there's a lot of sides of me, and I never know, those like forced answer tests. I get a little frozen, I think. And so because I think you named it, which I never had, it's the belief of like, it's trying to peg me, and I don't want to be pegged. And so that's interesting. I really love that thought. So I think you started talking about this a little bit. So for each type, how many numbers are there?
There are 9 numbers.
9 numbers. Okay.
Types. But then there are also wings. And then there are also...
This is what I'm remembering.
And so the subtype part of the Enneagram is one of my favorite things to talk about, because it's not on a surface level. It doesn't get talked a lot about, but understanding your subtypes, I feel like, really helps you see yourself in a new light and helps you understand other people as well.
Okay. And is this subtype just like if you're a 3, that's a 2 and a 4? Is it just whatever's on the other side of you, or how do you know the subtypes?
Yeah, that's a wing, what you're describing. So everyone, their primary type, and then you have a wing that you lean to a little bit more than the others. So, a 5 will either have a 6 wing or a 4 wing.
Okay, you have one or the other.
More dynamic than your primary type. So at different points in your life, that primary type 5 is going to lean into their 6 a little bit more than their 4, or there might be times where they lean into their 4. Your wings are also reflective more of your conditioning and your like how you were raised than your primary type.
Okay.
And generally your wing also complements some of the things going on with your primary type as well. So a sense of balance. Primary motivation for a type 9 is just peace. They want to have stability and peace over anything else.
Okay.
And a type 9 will lean into their 8 sometimes to create more momentum in their life, because an 8 is going to challenge things a lot more than a 9. I have a friend who's a type 9 wing 8, and she's like, I am a walking contradiction. Yes, you are. I understand. She said, I understand myself so much better now, though. Why this like spirited 8 comes out sometimes when really I just need stability.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Ready to make a real difference? Become a certified professional coach with Empower Coaching and Training. Our next CPEC cohort, accredited by the International Coaching Federation and offered in partnership with Oregon State University, starts February 28th. Spots are limited. Learn more at yesempower.com.
Yeah, that's great. And so I think I understand the wings. What are subtypes and what makes you excited about those?
Our subtypes are how we achieve that core motivation we talked about. And so you have 3 different subtypes for each primary type. And those are self-preservation, social, and sexual. 3 S's. And it's not necessarily sexual like the way most people think of sexual. It's more so how we go about achieving that core motivation. So a self-preservation 3, for instance, a self-preservation 3 is a unique combination because the 3 is motivated by feeling valuable and worthwhile. Your 3s are chasing success. Your 3s are networking and creating lots of connections to many people that will help them get what they want. They want to be seen as the smartest in the room. They want to be seen as they want to go after the trophies, after the accolades, all of those things. But so a self-preservation 3 is kind of a counter type because they are going to go within themselves. They're going to kind of keep to themselves in order to achieve that. Whereas a sexual subtype is going to create that need and go after that core motivation by creating one-on-one intimate bonds with others. Okay. They want to go deep with one person. And then the social subtype is going to do that with a large group of people. They're going to get their needs met and they're going to reach that core motivation through their association with large groups.
Okay.
And so you can see then all of a sudden with these 3 subtypes and the 9 types, all of a sudden you have a lot of variety within each type.
Yeah.
Preservation 3 looks very different than a social 3.
Okay.
And
so those 3 S's or the subtypes can be applied to each primary number. So really if I'm taking an assessment, I'm going to get my primary number. I'm going to get to know my wings, which way I'm leaning, and I'm also going to know those 3 subtypes as well.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes. And so, and that looks, and like a sexual 7 is going to look very different than like a sexual 4 too. Mm-hmm. So that subtype looks very different based on the primary type it's falling under.
Yeah. Okay. I have to say I'm no prude, but I am getting stuck on the word sexual because you said it's not. Suddenly I was like, oh, maybe this is not a tool we use within organizations. How do you define that? I think I need to know. How do you define that? Because you said it's not the way we'd normally think about it. So help us think about that differently.
Sorry for the alliteration. They wanted 3 S's.
They're really going to stick with that one.
It becomes easier. But what it is, though, is that one-on-one intimacy. So that bond with another person, it doesn't have to be a sexual bond, but it's a one-on-one bond or connection that helps them create that. And so sometimes when I'm asking people, when I'm working with clients and working on helping them understand their type, I go through this little exercise and I ask them, okay, you're going to a party, you don't know that many people. And you walk in the room and there's a big buffet of food and there's someone over there, that you can see that you kind of know. And then there's a whole crowd of people you don't know. What is your first instinct? What do you do? Not that it's 100% accurate, but it's a pretty good reflection of people's subtypes. Because if you go to the food first, then you're most likely self-preservation subtype because you're taking care of yourself. You're getting those needs met. If you tend to that little group of people that you kind of know, that's more of a sexual one-on-one thing. And if you start networking the room and going around and introducing yourself to people you don't know, you're a social subtype.
Aha. I would have gone to the person I know. So no wonder I had curiosity around sexual connections. I was curious because for inner curiosity, I guess. Wow, that's so neat. Okay. Well, I know at the end you're going to give us some ideas of how we might take this test, but I'm curious. I feel like I want to go retake it. It's so interesting. Yeah. So along with all of that, each type has characteristic stress patterns and regulation patterns. How can knowing your type help you recognize when if you think of Dan Siegel's work where you flip your lid or, you have that amygdala response. So how does knowing that support that process, that very human process, and what supports grounding and resiliency for different types?
Mm-hmm. Very good. I love this question. And there's something I want to say real quick because you brought up Dan Siegel. About a year ago, he came out with a therapy book that combines the personality types of the Enneagram. And yeah, it's very cool. And of course, right now I'm forgetting the name of it.
I'll go find it and put it in the links for sure.
Yeah, it's really good. And he doesn't come out and say Enneagram types, but they are.
Okay.
He calls them something else, but he goes through nine types of this something else.
Gotcha.
So the reason I wanted to bring him up is because in that book, he talks about where our Enneagram type originated. And he describes it as, and for those that don't know, Dan Siegel is a world-renowned attachment specialist, expert. He talks about child development and talks about attachment and how to create trust-based and safe connections. And so in attachment relationships. So he says that our Enneagram types came from a combination of our temperament and how we interacted with our caregivers. And so it's a little bit of that attachment piece and what we got from our caregivers. And it's the temperament we were all born with, which is unique. And this is why we have different Enneagram types in the same family, right? Because I was born with a different temperament than a sibling of mine. And then because of that temperament, I interacted with my caregiver's personality in a unique way. And I was just trying to get my needs met. And I was motivated by a different thing than my sibling. And so therefore, that's how that all was originated.
Yeah.
And so I like how he describes that because I have had a lot of questions over the years. Well, where does our Enneagram type come from? Did it come from trauma or because of the things we
right?
But that's how Dan Siegel describes it. And I've always appreciated that. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that description that you just gave because, I've heard people over the years, and I've even said it myself for my sibling of, we had the same two parents, the same DNA, we're only 3 years apart. So we went to the same high school together, and we are radically different human beings. And so I ponder on this a lot. So I was talking to somebody about it one time and they were saying, you have the same DNA, but you didn't have the same upbringing because who I was inherently brought out different things from my parents than who my brother was inherently and what that brought out. And then you magnify that through other relationships and jobs and teachers. And so we're interacting with the world and experiencing it so differently based on just the DNA portion, right? Like who we are. And also, even in those 3 years, our whoever raised us, for me, it was my core family stayed the same through my childhood. They were 3 years older when they raised me. They were already parents of another child when they raised me. They were, more stable in their relationship and their jobs. And so, yeah, I love that, I guess, the complexities of understanding what make us. And while we keep trying to simplify it, it is really so complex. Yeah. And so how does that, so just kind of looping our question back in there. So how does that support that identity of understanding, or maybe beginning to understand, what stresses me out and how I regulate? How does that support me, I guess, through the Enneagram? More grounding, more resiliency.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So there are a lot of signs you can look for. People go in and out of like a healthy state of their type to an unhealthy state all the time. And each type has a growth number and a stress number.
Okay.
This should be approached with some nuance, right? Because it's not always the direct, like, a 1 isn't always going to go to a type 4 when they're under stress, or go to 7 in growth, right? But that's kind of how they teach it. But you just need to understand there's some more nuance to it, and that they can ebb and flow, and sometimes the stress can even look like the growth, right? So, but there are things you can look at, like I said, as a 2, right? A type 2 it's nicknamed the helper. Type 2 wants to show up for other people. Type 2s diminish their own needs because they believe it's more important to meet the needs or show up for other people than themselves. So their stress line is an 8, right? And this can sometimes be referred to as disintegration, or where they start being unaligned. So they, as a 2, they're going to challenge. And the teacher that I learned a lot of the Enneagram from, he said that you will never see someone be so unhinged and so angry and so mean as a 2 in that space. But normally a 2, by all the stereotypes of a 2 is that they're people pleasers, and they want to they want to help, and they want to think about help. But when pushed too far, right, they're going to show up in that disintegrated stress line of the type 8 challenger, and they're going to really, really challenge, right, when pushed too far. Okay. So the trick for all of us then is to look for what that looks like for our primary type, and catch that before we completely disintegrate, before we are completely unaligned.
Right.
Going back to that type 2, the primary type of a type 2, their growth line, when they're integrated, and I love the word integrated in this study of the Enneagram, because it means that you're accessing the different types when they're most needed. When you're fully integrated, you accept all the parts of you, and you can access them and use them as needed, instead of just falling to default or
and awareness. It's that self-regulation, or it's self-awareness of being able to name, oh, I'm leaning into this wing, or I'm what a great self-awareness tool.
Yes. And so for the type 2, their growth line is a type 4. So when in the type 4's nickname is the individualist. And so a type 2 can then lean into that in their growth more and be like, I'm important too, right? I don't need to achieve my core motivation by always working for other people and helping other people. I can also express myself in my own individual way, and I can meet my own needs. And so that's an example of how we can watch for those red flags that show us that we're not in alignment, or show us that we need to take care of ourselves a little bit more, right? When our nervous systems are whacked and we need to regulate, those red flags will pop up. And so each type has a stress line and a growth line that will help us see that we're a little less healthy than we could be, or we're doing pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Great. Like measurable tools for us to be able to see that. So you use this with leaders and organizations, correct?
Yes, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Still working on that.
Yeah.
But yes, I see this as a great tool in an organization, because under teams that understand each other better, and like I said, when we understand each other better, we can be good to each other. So teams that can understand each other better will communicate better, will be more productive, will be, better able to tolerate the annoyances that show up when working as a team, right?
Yeah.
We just have these tendencies to be just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. When in reality, they're just showing up in their personality habits, just like like I am, just like my friend is, right? We all have these things, but when we stop seeing those things as offensible things that cause harm, and rather just see them as ways that that person is trying to get what they need, then the tensions release some, and then you are able, like you were saying, the flipping the lid thing with Dan Siegel.
Right.
We avoid that state of flipping our lids, and when we can do that, we stay in creation mode, and we stay in solution mode. When our lids are flipped, we can't reason with anybody.
Right.
That helps us stay in that regulated state.
Yeah. I think about it as if I'm a leader, it would be such a benefit to know where my team is and be able to coach to that. Like you're saying, like, okay, let's name this behavior, and it just gives you this whole framework that we can take a behavior that we might otherwise judge or assume or just try to squash, and kind of let's put this into the Enneagram and let's see.
No, their type. It's so easy. Some people on your team want to be publicly recognized when they meet goals and do good things. Some are going to be mortified if they're mentioned in public.
Yes.
Some are wanting, just to give more allowance in a meeting for their voice to be heard. Like, you have nines, and people have nines on their team that have a lot of good things to say, but your nines are not going to assert themselves in a conversation. They are not going to push themselves to get their voice heard. Yeah. So a leader is going to recognize that and allow for everyone to have a chance to contribute. Yeah. But that takes some effort as a leader to say, oh, hey, sir, or whoever, you, this person, what do you have to say about that? Yeah. And it's even be better for a 9 if they know ahead of time that you're going to do that. They don't want to be put on the spot. They don't want to be sharing anything that resembles any kind of controversy, but they have really good things to share, but they just need that chance to. And so often, as we all know, when we work in teams, it's like the loudest voice and the biggest personality that kind of takes
100%.
over.
100%. Yeah.
So to have each voice heard, you're going to need to use some tactics that help each type show up in the way they prefer.
Yeah. Written feedback, time to respond, surveys. Yeah. Agendas out in advance where people have time to think through it and prepare. Yeah. That's good. That's good. I like that. So one of the most powerful effects of the Enneagram seems to be, you had mentioned it in the beginning, this increased compassion for self, for others, the way you just described this through the leadership lens. How does understanding a person's core fear or core longing shift how we lead, how we collaborate, how we coach? And I know you've, definitely got me thinking on this. And so I'm curious about your answer to this. How do you use this once you have the results?
Yeah, I love that. And I've mentioned the core motivation many times, but I haven't talked about the core fear. And every type also has a core fear. And so knowing that, and as a coach, and I've coached many individuals, I feel like I feel like I've got a huge leadway with clients because I know their type. I know where they're going to get tripped up. I know what support looks like for them. I know what safety looks like for them because I know their type. So any can also use this. And type 6 comes to mind because one of their primary fears is to be left without support or security. And so to know that and be able to give reassurance and be able to show up in a way as a leader to a 6 is, that we're here together. 6 are like real good teammates because they like that sense of belonging in a unit like that. And they're very loyal. 6s they're called the loyalist. And so they're very loyal, but without that sense of safety or security, they're gonna wobble, and they're not gonna have a sense of confidence. And so that's important. That's very important as a leader to know that. and then be able to show them. And going back to like my type, the type 4s, right? They want to know that they're contributing in a unique way. They want to know, like, one of the greatest compliments a 4 could ever get is like, I've never met anyone like you, or I've never seen anyone do it that way. Right. They're just like, yay, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Here. But that's true of every type of whatever their motivation is. And so the primary fear, for a 4 is feeling insignificant. So you can see how that motivation and that fear are just like, they counteract each other. They're just kind of opposite of each other. Like I said earlier, type 1 wants to be good. They want to have integrity. And so their primary 4 is being corrupt or evil or defective. And so they are your perfectionists, and they are sometimes called the reformers because they show up. They're great on a team because they can always see how something can be improved. Yeah. They can always see how this could be better, this way. But that can be hard for other people. It could be hard. Well, any of the types, it can be hard being married to for different reasons. But if you're married to a type 1, they're constantly wanting to improve and things to be better. The other spouse sometimes probably just like, let's just chill, like
we're fine, leave it alone. Yeah,
exactly. And so I'm just trying to reflect on your question to make sure I answered it.
Yeah. I mean, I think you are kind of how, what do we essentially, to me, I think about what do we do once we have these results? I think that's kind of the essence of the question, and both how we got as leaders, as coaches, how we use that knowledge if we have it for other people, and also for ourselves. How do we use this for ourselves once we have this, and really work from that? I just can see this could beget more compassion, self-compassion begets compassion for others. And I could see the Enneagram being so helpful in that.
Right. And some ownership over your life as well. It's really easy to think that other people are supposed to be the ones to meet those needs for us.
Yeah.
But we need to be self-advocates for ourselves, and we need to also be in a healthy place where we can recognize, how to make those things happen. We can't always rely on others, but also we live in communities. There's no way that. And I'm such an advocate for communities and for community care. I think the world and society has really pushed the pendulum too far in self-care. And I think it's time to come back to community care.
Community care. I love that phrase.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Ready to level up how you lead at work and at home? Empower Coaching and Training brings brain-based coaching, mindfulness tools, and real-world strategies you can share with those you serve and live with. Get started now. Visit us at yesempower.com.
Yeah.
And so understanding this helps us care for each other. It helps us show up for each other. I'm always talking about the Enneagram with my friends, because then I'm like, they're having a bad day. I know how to show up for them. I know what to do for them that would help them feel special. Or like I said, as a leader, as a coach, these things help me know how to reach their intelligent type. We haven't talked about that, but each type has an intelligence center. And what that refers to is either what you do first. Do you think first, feel first, or do first? So that's really fun to understand as well, because if you're an overthinker, you're going to have a hard time tapping into your feeling or your doing, right? It's really hard if you're an overthinker. But the heart centers are the 2s, 3s, and 4s, and they feel first. It's hard for them to take action unless they feel it, unless they're in the right mood.
Yeah.
You have your body centers that are likely to do before they think or feel. And so that's really good to understand too, what people's intelligence center is, because we all have those people in our lives. We're just like, why did you do that? Why didn't you do that first? Right. Well, they are an 8, 9, or a 1 is what I'm saying, because I know the Enneagram, and those are the body types.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. So it's interesting because I think I started out saying at the top of the hour that I really love the Enneagram because you just get a number, right? But as we're talking, I'm realizing there are so many different layers of this that a person could really keep going. Like you said, studied it for 6 years. So is there I guess the first part of this question is I could see it would be really easy to stereotype or to like oversimplify, I think, which is what I wanted when I started this conversation. But now I'm realizing as you're dissecting it, like it really is so layered because that's who we are as human beings, and that makes so much sense. But how does if a person started using this with their family or within an organization, how could you get ahead of oversimplifying or labeling or stereotyping, right? Like, no, so-and-so can't do that job because they're a whatever number. How do you get ahead of that?
Oh, yes. Yes. Such a great thing to think about because that's one thing I don't like about the popularity of the Enneagram and how it's become such a little like social media darling. You have all these graphics that just want to simplify it, or these funny memes that make you laugh about the stereotypes of each type. And so that's one thing that it's been frustrating because it can't just be like distilled into a funny little meme. And so the answer is kind of twofold because you do want to play to people's strengths. And so, for instance, my husband is a type 9. And if his work was like, hey, we need someone to present, the meeting next week to, all the stakeholders, and, we want you to do it. He's gonna do exactly that. He's gonna choke up and he's not gonna. I mean, no way, shape, or form is he want to do that, right? So we do want to play to people's strengths and say tap into what people are good at, but also not put them in a box and label them in a way that prevents them from growing. And so in a leadership position, I would, be very aware of my team and their types, but also what their desires are. Right? We have a huge range, I'm sure, of people's like, I do want to reach beyond and do something a little bit out of my comfort zone. Or another person is like, no way, no how. I don't I don't want to do that. So I think that we need to be careful and not just assume things about people.
Right.
Because of their type, right? We need to be good to each other in the sense that we check in and not assume, right? That's such a big thing about I practiced in the last several years. It's like, well, I can't make that assumption about that person unless I've had that conversation with him.
Yeah.
That would be something I would suggest. And also when you form teams or put people together, it's a great idea to have a balance as well, because the different types will learn from each other. And
I see that. Yeah.
That will also help not to put labels on people, and it will help move beyond just the stereotypes of, not all accountants are like type 6s, right?
Yeah, right.
There might be a lot of 6s in a group of accountants, but not all accountants are 6s, and not every type 4 is a theater kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Okay.
There are those stereotypes that happen, but all of a sudden, if you have a team of accountants and you throw a type 7 in there, the dynamics and everything are going to change quite a bit. And so you just want to be aware and balance those things, but also be touching base and connecting so that you're helping them grow and tapping into where they want to go, right?
Yeah.
What's comfortable and what feels good to them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it kind of makes me think about the first part of, what you were saying is like, it's about possibilities, not boxing in. So just making sure we're not doing that to ourselves or to others, thinking about how do I help people grow and also find their strength, but grow. I think both of those things. So the other part of that question then for me, again, kind of recognizing there are lots of nuances to the Enneagram. How in the hell, really, do you figure all that out? I mean, I guess that's what I was like, whoa, is there a book? I mean, I know there's a book, but is there an app? Is there a worksheet? How do you get all those? How do you get beyond just, I am a 3, I am a 7, because it sounds like all the good stuff is actually beyond that primary number too. So how do you do that?
Yeah. Yes. And for those that are very interested, there are endless books out there. There are lots of, things you can go through. There are even therapists that are trained in the Enneagram that can take your background and take different things and help you find healing in specific ways that meet your type. Mm-hmm. And lots of podcasts out there that you can listen to, but view it. And as a teacher of the Enneagram, I feel like a lot of responsibility in how I teach this because there are a lot of people out there teaching it and everyone's approach might be a little bit different. But for me, I feel a real responsibility to teach that growth piece, that this is and one of the reasons why I love the Enneagram so much is because it is a tool for growth. It's a very insightful tool for self-awareness. Whereas, Myers-Briggs, as far, and granted, I don't know as much about Myers-Briggs as I know about Enneagram. Sure. But as much as I know about it, it doesn't offer paths to growth. It just kind of tells you, right? Like, I think if I remember right, like ENJF or something. Okay. And it helps me know like where I line. Am I more extroverted or am I more introverted? Am I more, am I more intuitive? Highly intuitive. I'm like 97% intuitive. But that doesn't necessarily teach me how to grow, right? That just tells me that I'm highly intuitive. And I like that I'm highly intuitive, but it's not a tool that serves me all the time. So I need to be shown where that will help and where that won't. Right. And so with the Enneagram, the difference with it I see is that we have that ability to show you as teachers. We have that ability to show you the pathways and give you the right tools to be more intentional, to make more conscious choices and say, okay, I've always responded this way in this certain situation, but what if I tap into my 5 a little bit more in this situation? Yeah. What if instead of this impulsivity that pops up sometimes, what if I do a little bit more research and I gain a little bit more knowledge before I make a rash decision? And that's going from like a natural instinct of a 7 to a 5, right? A 5 wants to gain knowledge and a 5 wants to, chase learning. Your 5s are like your people you meet that all of a sudden know everything about, a really random like animal. And you're right. So fascinating. They know about meerkats. That's so cool. Who knew? Yeah. And I actually love those kind of people that I just like ask them a million questions to them, just like, or they have this really unique job. I went on a cruise back in September and I was talking to this lady in the hot tub and she had this really cool job of exotic pet rescuer. Wow. Yeah. So of course I had all these questions about like, how did she get that job? And how did she know so much? And story about rescuing over 600 exotic pets from a 3-bedroom condo. Oh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, totally crazy. And so, wow. So anyway, that's kind of a type 5 thing to just go into this niche rabbit hole. Right. Some topic of whatever. But 7s are impulsive and they're going to be spontaneous and that's more fun to them. One little quip I think is so funny about a 7 is like, why would I finish one sentence when the next one sounds so much more fun? So
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
They need to slow way down. Their minds are going so fast. And so
Mhm.
that's what what the Enneagram shows you, again, what's possible outside that box. As a teacher of the Enneagram, I want to show you those possibilities. Like as a
Yeah.
7, if you slow down a little bit more, what's possible for you?
Yeah.
And how would your relationships improve? And how would you show up better at work in collaboration with the team so that your team understands you better and so
Right.
be more productive if you can, do these things.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the benefit, right?
Yeah.
There's many benefits, but
So good. Yeah. 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 And really working with someone who knows, like yourself, knows a whole lot about it. Yeah. So, okay. So final question here as we wrap up. What someone's listening, or for me, it's been, a couple of decades since I've done this. Where would I begin if I'm a average person? Maybe I'm not even part of an organization, so I don't want to wait for my business to do it. Where do I go? How do I begin? How do I take this assessment?
Yes, I've been on many podcasts, and so I will send you a whole list of like good, better, and best.
Okay. Because there's different assessments. There's not just one assessment.
I'll assess your Enneagram type, but they'll just be a little bit more thorough. So you get what you pay for. So there's a free version I recommend. There's like a $12 version I recommend, and then there's a $60 version I recommend.
Okay.
Of course I would. And there's even the $60 one is also available in a $120 version. And so you just get different output for, of course, results from each one. But the truity.com is the free one you can go to and just take. Tricky thing with online tests with the Enneagram is that it's hard to assess why you do things. And so many people find their assessment inaccurate. In fact, it has like a 60% inaccuracy rate because online tests can only help you see what you do. They're just like, those types of tests on online personality assessments are like, would you consider yourself more of an extrovert or more of an introvert?
Yeah.
Like it's not as easy. So that's why sometimes your result may come back and not feel accurate. So I would suggest taking them all, taking as many as you want, but then learning a lot about the types and finding what resonates for you.
Okay.
There's a book called The Road Back to You by Ian Morgan Crone and Suzanne Stabile. Okay. And I'll put that in an email too, so you have the information. But that one's really excellent. I have it right behind me, and this has been pulled out many times.
Okay.
He has the book organized in intelligence centers, so you have like the heart types and the body types and the mind types. But what I love about this book is each one like says what's it like to be in the type, like what's it like to be a 9 is on this page here, and you have this. And so I'll just pull this back. Like this is a party trick for me because I'll just pull this out when I'm like chatting at a party or with friends, and I'm like ask all the questions. And if you have a yes to most of those 20 questions, that's most likely your type. So anyway, just reading a lot of engaging with podcasts, and then it will come to you. You are the only one that gets to decide what your Enneagram type is.
Oh, that's lovely. I love that.
You don't need to believe in online tests. If that doesn't feel like you, do a little more digging, learn about the types a little bit more. It also is hard because we've all been conditioned to a degree. And often on those online tests, we're answering how we wish we were, not how we actually are.
Yes. Very true. Very true.
As well. And so some self-honesty, is helpful as well, because we all want to be a helper. We all want to be seen as the, one that's going to show up and help other people, but it's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
And
so when you're working with people, you guide them through this process. They're kind of deciding for themselves, and then you go deeper with them. Like, okay, I answered yes to all of these. This feels good for me. Now help me understand all these wings and the subtypes and all of these pieces of it. That's great.
Yeah. Yes, and certain numbers often get mistyped. 3s and 8s, for instance, are often confused.
Okay.
Like an 8, and an 8 can look like a 3. I had a client a while back that came to me and was like, I'm not really sure, which one. And so I asked him a lot of questions. I put a lot of situations, for him to ponder. And he came to me thinking he was a 3, but we both came to the conclusion that he was more of an 8.
Okay.
It came down to he liked the challenge of things. He was a very, very successful person, had, achieved great, like monetary success in his life. But it was because he liked the challenge. He took on the challenge of everything of like, yeah, I'm going to, meet this goal. I'm going to be better than everyone here.
Yeah.
That's how we found the distinction.
Yeah.
2s and 9s, again, those 2 are very easily mistyped. 2s and 9s can look a lot like each other. So you need someone that knows a lot about the Enneagram that can help you work through that to find the one that actually resonates the most with you.
Okay. And folks can do that with you. Will you give us your contact information? And of course, we'll put that in the link as well. But do you have a website where people can find you?
Yes, mariahwickham.com is where you find my website. And you can find me on Instagram, mariah.wickham on Instagram. I show up on there. Yeah, even just my email. I love chatting with people and answering people's questions. So
yeah. Okay. Now, do you do workshops? Do you have kind of open workshops that people can sign up for, or is it all one-on-one work? Tell us more about what that would look like.
I've worked with individuals one-on-one. I am working on creating workshops and going into places, but that's coming. So just watch my feeds and websites and different things to find out more about that.
Okay.
But get on the train.
Yeah.
I just love it. Yeah, I love helping people find this sense of who they are and sense of how they move around in the world and what that has created for them. Because we've probably all heard that quote that we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. And that really plays out well when we understand the Enneagram better, because we've all viewed the world uniquely based on our types.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. All right. Any closing thoughts for us, Mariah? Anything you want to leave us with besides that awesome quote? Loved that. Anything else you want to drop in our bucket?
Yeah. I mean, there's I can honestly keep talking for hours. There's just so many cool things I find about the Enneagram. So just know that it's a lifetime thing. Like I said, I've been studying it for 6 years and still finding cool things to know about it. So you don't need to know everything for it to be transformative for you, but it can be a tool for a lot of life-changing experiences for you. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you very much. And good luck on your journey with this. I do think it's such it's magnetizing is how I remember feeling it. Like this is magnetizing, and no other assessment has felt like that for me personally. But that probably says something about my number. All right, Mariah. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Happy road tripping.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Rewired, where neuroscience meets real life change. If you enjoyed today's conversation, I'd be so grateful if you take a moment to leave a 5-star review. Your feedback helps people discover the tools, insights, and inspirations they need to create lasting change. While you're leaving that 5-star review, please also subscribe and share an episode with a friend. Remember, the way you think shapes the way you live. Every intentional thought, every mindful choice rewires your brain and your life. So go live intentionally, live thoughtfully, and never underestimate the power of your own mind to transform your world. Until next time, this is Tiffany with Empower Coaching and Training. Stay curious, stay empowered, and keep rewiring for real change.
Every family has challenges, and every parent deserves support. At Empower Coaching and Training, youth and parenting coach Jasmine Chandler helps parents and young people find clarity, connection, and practical tools that make a difference. Visit yesempower.com to connect with Jasmine and explore our team of incredible coaches today.